I finished the whole Floyd Toole's book, and I'm like, oh man, now what am I going to read now? You know,
where's the chat? Where's the volume
what am I
2?
going to do? So I ended up joining what is that? AES, Audio Engineering Society, because they have a bunch of white papers there, so I can nerd out. And I found one about room correction from Sean Olive, and they're comparing various room corrections. I think there was like 6 of them.
Oh,
right?
I remember seeing that. Yeah, I remember seeing that. Oh, that man, that's pretty old, isn't it?
It's an old one.
It seemed like I read it in 2010. Yeah.
So I think that's around when it came out, 2009. But it's funny because they were comparing 2 JBL ones, or Harman ones, Harman DSPs, and then no EQ, right? No EQ, like nothing at all. And then I think 3 others. One was Lingdorf, Odyssey, and Anthemark, right? And they go through this whole procedures and basically showing that most of the time the 2 they don't name who's right? Which one's which, but they say these 2 are the ones that perform the best, and then the next after that was no EQ, so that's 3. Right, and then I forgot, but just basically like you can kind of figure out like the other ones did worse than no EQ. That's the whole point, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have to know which one's which, but you can kind of guess. But it's kind of interesting. You pay for this auto EQ, and sometimes it makes it worse.
Sometimes it can. Yep.
Wow.
And that's why I think at the end of the day, you got to use your ears and make sure, or you have to go back and check what it did. Sometimes you have to change settings. With the projector shootout, we found sometimes you can literally change one setting, and it completely changes like your experience. Same thing with subwoofers, whether that's changing the phase. There's different things that you can do. So
yeah, well, it's very interesting. All this stuff, DSP is kind of right up my alley because it's computer related and audio related. Yeah, and anytime I can
tie it
do
together,
those 2 things, I'm happy. Yeah. Jonathan says, "Can you do that with my Trenov?" I actually haven't messed with Trenov, but I don't know that you. I don't know. I know you have the Marantz. I know you have the Marantz. I kind of feel like I want to almost challenge
head-to-head.
He's got a Denon.
He's got the same one I have. Do Trenov auto.
Right.
Oh.
And then let Joe come in
708, Jonathan. I know you do because
that's a shootout right there.
But I'm kind of curious. Pay the $200 for the app. Let me calibrate it just for a shootout, just to see which one wins. Maybe I don't know how many speakers you have. I don't want to do like 15 speakers, but
so is that something that you can measure, Joe?
What do you mean?
Like to do the shootout? Is that something you can objectively measure, or you just want him to say, "Tell me what you think"?
In a way.
Yeah.
In a way.
Carlson says, "Go ahead."
Just curious.
The point of Trenov is to not have to do that.
I don't know what
that's what they say.
Yeah, but then there's the price disparity. That's the thing, right? It's a price disparity. What was the Denon was like $2,500? Trenov what?
I'm confident in
12,000, 15,000.
I'm confident in my method, and going back looking at some of those old AES papers, it seems like a lot of times they're telling you what's not good, what you don't do, what's wrong, but they don't tell you what to do.
That's a great thought, Raphael.
And it's interesting, and it makes me wonder if like maybe that's proprietary information because maybe they came up with this research while working at JBL, and they're using the technology, and so they can't say exactly what it's doing. They can just tell you what the other ones are doing wrong. And I agree with them. I think the other ones are doing some stuff wrong. So
somebody asked,
am I a network engineer? Well, I had an IT business for 10 years, a while ago, a long time ago.
Joe, you don't know nothing.
I don't know nothing.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Dropping those subtle
newbie.
Those subtle plugs, man. Yeah. Subtle flex.
Dude, you don't even know how to box.
Sometimes you just got to do that, Joe.
I know more about computers than I know how to box, though. But there's a lot of customization you can do with Trenov. Yeah, well, I know it has that fancy mic. I don't know that I need that mic. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm curious because the only way to know is to try, and I'm up for the challenge. If you want to put up your Trinov versus Marantz with my settings. Let's see what happens. You know, if Trinov wins, then well, it should, right?
Well, it should. They already started at a disadvantage because they're so much more expensive. You know what I mean?
Like, kind of like,
I know it sounds counterintuitive, but they better do better, right?
Sure. Correct.
For that much more money. But personally speaking, I would much rather have a mini DSP that I can do stuff with myself, and then have Dirac to help me take care of the room once I dial in the speaker the way I want it to be dialed in. You know what I mean? So that's how I would prefer to go about it.
Well, that's what this Odyssey thing is. It's kind of turns your AVR into a mini DSP now.
Yeah.
It just type in your PEQ settings, right?
Yeah, that was cool.
Just do everything manually. And I think a lot of folks don't understand that it has nothing to do with doing the auto calibration better. It's all about you doing your own measurements and then entering in your info into that.
Well, that's so funny too, because like you say that, and I realize when you say that, I'm sitting here like, yeah, this is basic stuff. But I'm like, most home audio and home theater audio people don't know that. But car audio, we've been doing this for 10 or 15 years. So it's like, yeah, I need a Q of 1 here, or yeah, I need a Q of 15 to knock down this resonance. You know, like this is basic stuff, but it's not it's starting to get more popular, I guess. I don't know. I just hope that I hope people take the time to understand how to properly use the measurements to help them, like kind of like what you're doing, because you can do some really cool stuff with good measurements and proper equalization.
Well, I think this is a great time right now to be into this, because with guys like you who are providing these measurements, now I can look at this Polk speaker and say, all right, this is EQable, but not here. This area here, don't try to EQ that. So, you know, you have all this information that wasn't here 10 years ago. You didn't have that information.
Yeah. I mean, you certainly didn't have it to the level that you do now with all the different
fed to you on a platter. Like, here you go.
Right. Yeah. And super easy to access. You just pull it up. Like you can just Google and find it. And a lot of manufacturers are getting better about providing basic information too, you know, so then you just look at it and be like, yeah, it may not be flat, you know, on axis anechoic, but I can EQ it to my heart's content. Perfect. That's a good speaker to get, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, interesting stuff. I'm sure we'll talk about it more in the after show.